know that we are just getting bombarded all the time with invitations and things to do. I know when women I adore and who inspire me invite me to their events, I try my best to show up. I do often, and sometimes I can't. So tonight, the fact that you said yes, I'm so grateful. And I'm just happy to be here. So thank you. And you're coming from all different places, from Delray Beach, from Nashville, from Chicago, from Pennsylvania, New Hope, Pennsylvania, from Cary, North Carolina, and Chicago. I said that already. Wheaton. Thank you for being here. So we're talking tonight about listening. It is something that we all need to practice more of. I know for sure I do. Not just to other people and to my children, which is huge. Somebody just told me about a new podcast called Bite Your Tongue. And I have not checked it out yet, but it's from my friend Val, who always directs me to great things. And it's literally like, listen to your kids and bite your freaking tongue. Anyway, so I'm all about speaking, but tonight we're talking about listening, which I'm really excited because our guest, Menia Johnson, who goes by MJ, has a lot to say, and she's a very special person, and I'm very grateful that she's here. She attended my unexpected speaker workshop about 5 or 6 years ago, and we've remained friends ever since. That's how, and I did not meet Diamond that way, but that's how I met Karen that way, because a friend of Diamond's is Karen, who came to that workshop, who now did the logo for Marion's Table Talks because she is a beautiful graphic artist. So, I just love connection and collection of really talented people. So the whole point of this is to bring talent to the table and see how we can share and benefit from each other. And it's about connection and community. So what I want to start tonight, which is how we started the first time, is let's just bring in our grandmothers. So let's close our eyes, bring in our grandmothers. Mine is Marion, so is Susan's. My other grandmother was Marion as well. They both had the same name, spelled it differently. And just quietly think about your grandmother. Hear her say your name. Say hers back to her. Think about her voice, her warmth, her lessons, her talents, the talents she shared with you. And maybe think about the talents you have that she inspired you to develop. Feel her warmth and her embrace, and know that you could not be here today without her. Now, if your grandmother isn't the one that you want to bring in whoever it is that brings you that warmth, because we are here to honor the women who came before us, and certainly all the women who will come after us. So I invite you to come back. And Heather, tell me your grandmother's name.
Joan Tissues.
Joan. Yes, I know. I've heard about Joan, and she was a very beautiful dresser, right? She dressed beautifully.
She absolutely did. She shined inside and out.
So nice. Jeannie, what's your grandmother's name? Or both?
Annette. Well,
Annette.
one was Sadie, but she died when I was really little.
Yeah.
And then my other grandmother, my mom's mom, was Annette.
Annette.
And I would say the best thing she was good at was getting husbands. I think she had 6 of them.
Were they rich? That's hilarious. Jeannie, you're so funny. You're so funny. Oh my gosh. Lee, your grandmother's names?
Lillian and Viola.
Viola. I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was my dad's mom. And my daughter is named after Lillian, and she's Lily.
I never knew that. I've only known you 100 years. I never knew that. That's so nice. And my daughter is Marion, because we couldn't figure out how to spell Marion, because one spelled it with an O, one spelled it with an A. Diamond, your grandmother's name?
Teresa.
Teresa. And what did she teach you?
Curiosity. Lots of curiosity.
You do that well. You do that well. Mary, your grandmother? You're muted.
Yeah, I only knew one grandmother, and she died when I was 11, but her name was Sabina. And she was from Ireland. And she was small but mighty.
Yeah.
Like kind of a small boned framed woman. But she was
Where'd she go? Now we can't hear her. This is the technology. This is, by the way, this platform is in beta testing. So Jules, do you know what happens when the bubble goes away and then Mary can't talk anymore? Here she goes.
Oh, there I am. Okay, Sabina was my grandmother. She died when I was 11, and I guess humor, because she was very, very funny, and she played a lot. I mean, I was very young when I lost her, but I was very devoted to her.
That's so nice. Jenna?
We've got Helen turning 103 next month.
Amazing.
And so longevity, I get that from her, hopefully. And then Margaret, who's 90. And I was talking to MJ behind the scenes and about our drive. And I think I got my drive from Margaret. Maybe a little bit of anxiety too.
Yeah, well, drive and anxiety sometimes go together.
Hand in hand.
And you are very driven, so that makes sense. All right, I'm going to wait for Susan's bubble to come back because I think she's the last one to go. My sissy Susan, everybody. Susan, hi. Which grandmother came to you tonight?
Well, it would be my mom.
Which is Marion.
Marion with an O. The reason why we're here tonight. I don't know. I guess because her patience and her positive outlook on life, even when things were so horrible for her. Like when you really think about it, she just had horrible, horrible things happen to her. Yet she was just a very happy woman.
Right. Yeah. She lost 2 babies very early on, tuberculosis. And then I forget what the other was, but Susan would know. And then she had my dad. Then she had my Aunt Sally Lou, who I was named for. And then she had our Uncle Jody, who is the reason why she started her tea sandwich business, because she couldn't leave her home after her husband died suddenly because he was in a wheelchair and he had cerebral palsy. So she had to find her talent and do something to make a living from home. And every day women gathered at her dining room table, which was her headquarters, her company headquarters, and they helped make the tea sandwiches, which was my grandmother's talent. And some rolled the bread, some cut the crust, some spread. There were decorators, which were, the high achievers, which was Susan. She got to decorate. I never did. Heather, you would have decorated the crap out of those tea sandwiches.
Oh yeah, love it.
So anyway, that is where this all came from. I really believe that my grandmother inspired me to be in community with talented women that can help lift me up and give me their talent, share their talent with me, and I share their talent with you. Wait, Julie, you didn't say your grandmother.
Oh yes, I was wondering. Am I on? Yeah, I'm gonna go away. I'm gonna pop away any second.
Julie's our tech person, but she'll come back with her grandmother's story. And just so you know, the gear at the top is a place where you can put your profile, update your name and everything like that. Make sure all of your tabs are closed, which mine are not. But if you have anything like Zoom or FaceTime or anything like that, that'll eat away at your ability to have a good Wi-Fi connection. Go ahead, Julie.
Yes, my grandmothers were Anna. Of course, my grandpa called her Annie, which I loved. And then my other grandmother was Lucille. But
Lucy.
Grandma Ann was my heart.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when we worked together how much you spent time with her. Well, okay, so the grandmothers are all here, and I'm so grateful. It feels good. Thank you, Jenna and Julie, for all the tech stuff tonight. If you have any trouble, you can email Marion's Table Talks at Gmail, and Jenna will be manning that. Also, you received a booklet, and for the high achievers in the group, maybe you printed it. There are places to put notes on there, but what I love about it is that I invite the speaker to give their recipe of how they share their talent. I shared mine, and I would love to invite you all to explore your own recipe, because it's a great, not right now, but in the coming days, tonight, whenever the you feel like it, because it really allows you to explore what it is that you've been blessed with, your talent, and how to share that with others, because that's why we're here. If we're not sharing our talent, it is a wasted resource, and that is why we are here. So now it's time for me to introduce our speaker who, like I said, I met 5 or 6 years ago. She texted me a picture of when we first met, and I was like, dang, I looked young. Nothing like 5 years. Woo! Anyway, Menia Johnson, is, otherwise known as MJ, is a wellness coach. She is a life enthusiast. She is an author of a 21-day devotional. I love this little book. It's called Harvest Living, a guided devotional to choosing wellness. She helps us get to the root of what causes roadblocks from us living our best versions of ourselves. MJ has made a career out of listening to her intuition, listening to her faith, listening to her body, listening to her family, her clients, and having survived many trials, many trials, health issues, heartbreaks, and more. MJ is here tonight to remind us all that no matter how tough the road gets, how tough life is, that we all have the power to listen, and listening always welcomes healing. So please welcome Julie. Bring her in. Menia.
Hello.
Emoji applause.
I love those little emoji applause.
Like you.
Hello,
So welcome
ladies.
to Marion's Table Talks.
Thank you, Sally Lulu.
I love that.
It is a pleasure to be here with all you beautiful ladies tonight. So thank you for having me. And again, my name is MJ. I am a wellness enthusiast and an author. And my grandmother's names were Gladys and Lou Emma, actually. So Granny Lou is the one that I am going to talk about tonight. She is really where I've learned my talent of listening. My grandmother was always slow to speak and quick to listen. And she would sit and listen to all of the grandchildren talk. She was the mother of 11 children. So she had her own skill of listening to all of her children and being patient and kind and loving. And so Granny Lou is literally, I feel like she's with me every single day in all that I do. As a mom, as a real estate lender, as a wellness coach, as a minister, as a wife, as a friend, and even a stranger, because I can spark up a conversation. I'm pretty sure you guys can too, in a good Walmart line. And so one of the things, or some of the things that I want to talk about tonight is, how do we listen well? And what does that mean? And not just listening to others, but listening to our own selves and the things that we need to live a productive life. And so step number one really is acknowledging the moment in your life when you were not heard. And for me, I grew up hearing from my parents that children are to be seen and not heard. And you don't talk a lot, you just kind of go and you're cute and you wave at the aunties and uncles, and you don't really have a lot to say when adults are around. And so step number one is acknowledging the first moments where we felt like we were unheard. And I think that acknowledging those moments from our childhood allows us to have compassion with ourselves and with others. And instead of taking a lot of time to be quick to speak when someone's not finished with a thought, or when you're not finished healing, or when you're not finished really kind of going through some hard times, taking a moment to be still and acknowledge where your original hurt came from of not being heard is literally the first step to being a good listener. Again, not just for others, but for yourself. So yeah, that's my favorite part. And so step number 2 is just seeking to understand when you're listening to yourself and understanding, going back to that acknowledgement piece, right, of when you first felt unheard. Seeking to understand why you felt the way that you were. What scenario or what atmosphere were you in that first memory of being unheard? And even when we're in conversation, like for me, when I'm doing consultations with any of my clients, rather it be on the real estate side or the wellness side, taking a moment to ask questions, right? Questions are my favorite. Seeking to understand more. Tell me more about that. How did you feel when that happened? What's the first memory that you have of, being told that you weren't good enough, or that you were fat, or, what were those harmful words, right? Getting to the root of the issue and seeking to understand before providing a solution. And I think when it comes to self-awareness, it's really the same thing, you guys, seeking to understand, why do I feel this way? Listening to your heart. What has triggered me to either respond or not to respond to myself in a productive way? So we acknowledge and then we seek to understand, right? And then the next thing that helps me channel my Granny Lou is identifying the ask or the subject. And by what I mean by that is identifying when you're listening to yourself or to others, is like they might be asking a question or talking about a subject, but is that really the root of the conversation? There's always more. I'm getting a little feedback. There's always more to what a conversation is. And it kind of goes back to acknowledging, seeking to understand, and then you get an opportunity to restate what you've heard. I do this out loud during my morning meditation. I allow my brain to kind of go wherever it wants to go. And then I say out loud the things that I've heard myself say. Restating, okay, I used to say, oh my gosh, I'm so anxious, or I'm so overwhelmed. And so out loud, I have to say to myself, no, MJ, I think that you have feelings of anxiety. And then identifying the why of the anxiety, and then seeking to understand the feelings that I've had, right? What has been going on in my life that I have feelings of anxiety? Where did this come from and when did this start? And then acknowledging the first moment that I had, that I remember being anxious as a child. So there's a 4-step process here. To listening to ourselves as well as listening to those that we love, especially our children. I think that as a mom, I have 4 children, you guys. I have a 28, 26, 18, 13, and a grandbaby. Yes, Susan.
That's right, Susan.
Any insight on this? Friends are actually getting worse. Let's see. She says, as I get older, I notice that some of my poor listener friends are actually getting worse. Any insight on this? Actually, yes. And so I think that for our friends, I have a few of those too. Even though I'm not yet in my 60s, and I can't wait till I am.
But you have children like you are in your 60s.
I do. I've got a whole grandbaby. I think that poor listener friends, it's a combination of them being a poor listener because they have a lot of hurt and they have a lot to say, and they haven't yet learned selflessness even as they get older. And the more that it's a learned behavior to be selfish, being selfless is harder. And so I've had to set some boundaries with even some of my girlfriends who I felt like I was just being dumped on, and they just dump. But when it's my turn to maybe say how I feel and I'm not being acknowledged, I typically, before I was doing this mindfulness, I would just let it, ride and not care about it. But I've had to say out loud, I feel like I'm in a place in our relationship where I am not being heard. And so if we can't have conversation that's both pouring and giving, I don't really know what level of friendship that we're on. And so saying that out loud to someone who doesn't listen well kind of stops them in their paths a little bit. And just like either they're going to respond like, oh my goodness, Suze, I'm so sorry. I'm not really a good listener. What's going on in your world? Or you can set an internal boundary and keep conversations very short and choose to not have that level of relationship with someone who isn't willing to be selfless and pour back into you.
Thank you.
There's
more questions.
Yes.
Heather says, can you define selfless? I am one of those bad listeners, so this is very helpful. No, you're not.
Heather, I cannot even imagine. So when I say selfless and being selfless, I'm really saying that you have a very low tolerance and low care for anyone else but yourself. Well, selfishness is that, but being selfless means, in my opinion, is that when you have an opportunity to pour into someone else's cup, that you may or may not be willing to put your cup aside to be open to pouring versus being poured into, and taking some moments to have, showing acts of love by listening, and not thinking of a solution when someone else is talking, but literally shutting off that part of your brain. And especially as women, we're like, okay, I got it. We're typically neutrals and we like to fix things, and we wear our superhero cape like, okay, girl, don't worry, I've got a solution. But just maybe they don't really want a solution. They just want to be heard.
I have so much to say about that. Will you finish?
I think there was another question. Very helpful. Okay, good. Yay.
Well, I mean, if you don't mind me interrupting you, like I mean, currently I'm going through something with my adult son. Some of you on the call know, and he's in a wilderness program. And part of the curriculum that I'm learning after raising 3 adults is this active listening and naming feelings. And like you just said, naming feelings. I'm not anxious. I'm feeling anxiety. It's like naming it so that you can put it somewhere.
Yeah.
And listening, like he had to make a choice between 2 places where he's going next. And I could have told him exactly where I thought, here are all the pros.
Yeah.
And instead I just listened, and he gave all the pros were the same pros I had. And I was like, and it took everything. I had to shut off a part of my brain, like you just said. So interesting.
It's definitely something that we practice, just like Jenna with being, in wellness as well, right? I come from being at one point in my life 185 pounds to at my last show, I'm a bodybuilder, as well as my fun times, to being 114 pounds on stage, right? And so there were many times where throughout the course of training for competition that I had to shut off a part of my brain and listen to the productive side, right? And understand where my triggers are. And when we're in conversation with those that we love and we know that we have the solution, it's a matter of taking a moment and allowing them to speak and identify, and even potentially help them identify the triggers, right? My son is 18 years old almost, and he often has feelings of being overwhelmed, or feelings of anxiety. And although I know what the triggers are, I want to tell him what the triggers are, I sit and I listen. I do ask some questions, right? I'm seeking to understand what was happening. in that moment that you were feeling anxious. And so I created a trigger tree for him. And it's really a triangle, the feeling that he's had. And then we go down on the left side of the positive feelings. And on the right side is the negative feelings. And at the bottom of that triangle is the root of the issue. But it takes time to go down both slopes of this trigger tree to understand what the root of that issue is. And it's definitely a practice, right, of mindfulness and just like training our bodies to live productively and eat the things that when we were younger that we hated, like Brussels sprouts and spinach, but now I love them both.
Right. Menia, can you speak a little bit about your transformation yourself? Like that you'd health issues and you were 180 pounds and how did your health and wellness journey even begin?
Yeah, so my initial health journey, since we're all ladies here, I was just uncomfortable in my body, and there's parts of me I could not see, honestly. And I had to realize how I allow my body to get to that place after children, and I was very depressed, very, very sad, and coming from a previous divorce and feeling and being completely emotionally and physically rejected, I did not feel beautiful anymore. Decided to get a nutritionist, started there and started to lose some weight. And right when I was feeling wonderful about myself, I had a tumor in my heart. The extremities of my fingers turned blue and my toes turned blue. And I literally had a mass in my heart. It was called a myxoma tumor that was the size of a grapefruit, and I had to have open heart surgery. There was a very small percent chance that I would make it out of that alive because of how large that tumor was. But here I am. While I was in surgery, I had a massive stroke. And the right side of my body I could not use for about 3 months. And while I was in recovery at Christ Hospital here in Chicago, Illinois, it was like I had an epiphany when I was in the hospital that all of the bitterness and all of the frustration and sadness from my past, from being divorced, from realizing being molested when I was a small girl for many years, that I had held on to all of this hurt and this bitterness in my heart, that it literally caused a tumor in my heart. And that's when the hard work began. The easy work kind of was losing the weight, but the hard work was losing the weight of my past and forgiving those who hurt me, who rejected me, who left me behind. And I had to choose to literally unveil my heart and let all of the yucky stuff out, a tumor of hurt, literally, and do some hard work there. And that is when I believe my life changed for the better. That is when I believe that I learned how to listen to myself, how to understand that it's okay to say out loud that I'm sad, that I have feelings of sadness. I grew up in a household, everything was bubbly and joyful. And I mean, I'm still very bubbly. It's kind of my thing. Yeah. But I grew up in an atmosphere where joy was expected. And I didn't realize that joy is a gift. I thought that joy was the same thing as happiness, but it isn't. Happiness is totally conditional on what's happening in our lives, but joy comes with peace, internal peace that we get to choose every single day. And I'm so stinking grateful that I had the opportunity to wake up from that surgery. Yes, go through physical therapy, learn how to write again, learn how to pluck my eyebrows, and do some of the hard work, learn how to walk again. But all of that taught me resiliency, and it taught me how to listen to myself first. And now that I've learned how to listen to my heart and be honest with myself, I get to help so many people do the same thing, because in a wellness journey, it begins with listening to ourselves.
It's the
And
ultimate act of self-care.
it is the ultimate act of self-care, absolutely. And that's where that mindfulness comes in, because we can do a crash diet and lose a couple of pounds, but it's going to come right back on until we acknowledge being unheard as a child, seeking to understand our triggers, identifying why we felt that way, and then restating it to ourselves, and then living the rest of our lives in productivity, because we're getting to choose to listen to ourselves.
And I like the way you just button that up. I love that. I love that. We're so grateful that you listened to your body and were able to really make drastic changes for the best.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about the day, and we're going to get to Jeannie because she wants a question, and I also
Sure.
but I wanted to ask you one quick thing before that. Tell us about your day one mentality. I love that.
Day one mentality. It's my favorite thing. It's day one of the devotional. And so that day one mentality means that we are choosing to treat every day of our lives like it's the first day that we get to do something. I'm pretty sure you ladies have started something super exciting, and the first day you're like, oh my God, this is my first day and I'm so excited. But having that same enthusiasm, having that same first day, like excitement every single day that you wake up. I literally wake up in the morning, I give myself 2 claps. I get to start my day. These are my intentions for the day. Same excitement. That day one mentality, choosing that excitement every single day, gives us such an amazing opportunity to be successful all day long, because we're still excited to do it like it's brand new, because we get to live. We get to choose our bodies. We get to listen to ourselves. We get to love ourselves. We get to love our families. We get to do the things that we love. And so why not be super pumped up every single day that we're alive? And that we get to do the stuff that we absolutely enjoy, even though it might come with some challenges throughout the day. But stating our gratitudes throughout the day to remind us of that day one mentality is very, very important.
I love that.
I have moments of gratitude on my calendar every single day. Once per hour for 1 minute, I have to state out loud a gratitude so that I don't forget.
Every hour of the day?
Yep, it's on my calendar, on my Outlook.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Does anybody have a question that they want to ask Menia? And Menia, we need to tell Jeannie the triangle.
Oh, yes, my triangle. So the top is the feeling, right? The feelings of being overwhelmed. The left side of that triangle are the negative feelings. The right side of that triangle are the positive feelings. And by the time you get down, you'll figure out the root of the issue of the triangle.
What I love about
you're welcome, Jeannie.
What I love about this is that Jeannie Bindler not only registered for Marion's Table Talks, but she read my email, and she noticed that you, Menia, need you need the talent of baking, because you and your husband own an online baking company, because you have 700 things you do in a day, and and that you don't know how to bake, and Jeannie put it as her talent. And so what I love is the sharing, and hopefully you'll be in the same breakout room. But Jeannie, what is your advice to Menia for helping her be a better baker?
Can you hear me? Because I turned it off. I turned it back on. Okay. I don't know why I'm good at baking. Like, to me, if you can read, you can bake. So seriously, I don't think I'm such a rock star. I'm not a baker where.
Oh no.
Oh, Julie, I guess we have to figure this out, man. Oh, we have not had this problem yet, but
I think Diamond says, what does self-care look like for you now? Self-care for me it's so ridiculously generic. I work out. And so I spend 3 hours a day, an hour in the morning for cardio, 2 hours in the evening. That's my time where I don't talk to anybody. It's just me, prayer, and sometimes some very salty words. And it makes me feel really good.
Okay, I'm going to go to Jeannie when she's on the end, and then we're going to go to breakout rooms. Okay, so when she goes to the end, how does your faith play into your listening?
My goodness. So the Bible tells me to be slow to speak and quick to love, and be slow to anger and quick to listen. And so I feel like because I've had an opportunity to be raised in the faith and be raised at church, that I've heard a lot of different things, but understanding that time that I was in the hospital and really feeling like God was speaking to me and there with me my entire recovery time, Jesus is, he's my guy. He's my guy. I literally have a shirt that says Jesus is my favorite. And I believe that having faith in God, in addition to me choosing wellness every day, is my reason for living.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. We are going to go to breakout rooms because the last time we didn't have enough time, and I'm going to do it early. Okay. And I am going to ask Julie if you can put Jeannie and Menia in the same room. That would be great. And yes, the link for Menia's book is in the chat, as well as her beautiful website. She's harvesting beautiful things daily. And your season of talent, what season are you in?
I'm in a resting season right now, actually.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm in a resting season and understanding myself before 2022 gets here, because there's always a new harvest in my life. So, but rest is my harvest today.
I like that. And before we go, Menia's working on a new book that is called One Bold Mama, Living a Life of Transparency in Front of Your Child. I love that. I love that.
So excited about it.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for being our speaker tonight and telling us how to listen. My friend Lee, who I've known since 1981, is a phenomenal listener. She listed it as her talent. And it was good for me because I'm a phenomenal talker. Poor Lee. She listened. She still does. All she does is listen to me. Oh, I have stories upon stories. The logistics. She used to live in Chicago, and now she's back in Pennsylvania, and she would listen to me figure out how I was getting here, there, everywhere, and everything in between. We're going to go to breakout rooms, but please, everybody, come back when it's time. I'll make an announcement. I'll make a short, quick goodbye. I want us all to say goodbye, and I will get you out of here at 8 p.m. Central. And Julie, do your thing, and we're all going to go to the cute breakout rooms. The prompt is, what is your talent and what talent do you need? That's the prompt. So whoever wants to start, and it goes fast. Thank you so much. I hope that you all found each other to be, literally when I got into my room, I saw that Heather was there and Mary was there, and Heather has a book she needs to write because she's a phenomenal story. And I've been talking to her. I've been listening to her say she wants to, and I've been saying you need to. And then Mary is a published New York Times bestselling author.
Not New York Times. Not New York Times.
Just bestselling author?
Number one.
Okay. Number one parenting author. Number one. Okay. Well, I like to add a little extra to things. So she's an excellent writer, and she's a published author, and she works with nonfiction writers to write their book, and she was my mentor. And to me, she's a New York Times bestseller.
That's right. That's right, Sally Lou.
So there they were, and I was like, this is perfect. You guys need each other. Did you get some baking skills from Jeannie?
I did. She told me to basically to relax and just read the recipes.
Exactly. Well, I hope that you all enjoyed this. The next Marion's Table Talk in December is going to be hilarious because my friend Melissa Carter will be here. She is the person that I did the fashion segment with a few months ago on Instagram, and she's going to be telling her story. Her talent is energizing others, giving energy to others, and she will be. Wow. And Julie's decorating the whole Marion's Table in Hanukkah and Christmas. And Melissa is going to be telling her story and speaking, but also showing you her vintage holiday looks, and you can buy them right off of her because we'll put her little Venmo thing, and she'll be in her body shaper, and she's hilarious, and it's going to be so much fun. And I've got a Christmas playlist. So thank you so much. You're going to receive everybody's contact information. There are people that didn't come tonight that'll be on there. So you'll be like, well, where was she? But that's okay. Just if there's anyone you want to reach out to, that's what makes me so happy. And Menia, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you for allowing us to remind ourselves that we all have the power to listen and to really treat ourselves with self-care. And if you're not feeling heard, make sure you change that in your life so that you can shine in a way that only you can shine. So we see your sunshine, and I'm so glad that you listen to your body and your mind and your spirit.
Thank you, Sally Lulu. I love you. Thank you, ladies, so
much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for being here for the hour. We really appreciate it. It goes by like that. And just keep connecting with each other. That's what it's all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Lee. Bye, Sarah. Bye, Heather. Bye, Jeannie. Bye, Suze. Thank you. I want to hear who you all were with. Text me.
Okay.
Bye, Diamond.
MJ, if you need
Bye,
me, holler.
Diamond.
Yes, Jeannie.
Okay, swear.
When you get back, can I come over to have
You can come over,
lasagna
but
and
you
chocolate
can also
cake?
call me here because I'm happy to help.
I have been the recipient of her good baking, and trust me, she knows what she's doing. All right. And Diamond, were you in with Jeannie?
I was in with Jenna and Susan.
And me.
Oh, okay. Because Diamond is all about helping you find your purpose. And that is something we're all always on a path for. So when you get your document of, information of people, follow Diamond on Instagram, Jeannie. She's definitely, she can help you with that. I can tell you that right now.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Hopefully I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Nice to see your face. Bye.
Nice to see yours. Happy sunshine.